Welcome to another episode of The Cynical Writer. Before we get started, I would just like to remind everyone that if you would like to support this channel, the best way to do that is to purchase my books, and I've left a link in the description section in case you're interested. Now, today I wanted to talk about how to describe, in particular, human beings well. Now, first of all, I want to make one thing clear. There's no one right way to describe human beings. There are various techniques. Sometimes you might just want to give a very quick description because the character isn't that important. Other times you might want to go into greater detail. There's no one right way. But, so for example, you could say that someone is, let's say, beautiful or hideous or whatever, and just leave it at that. If another element of the scene is more important. However, how I like to describe human beings personally is I don't like to just list things like brown hair, brown eyes, all of that, because if you just describe something in that way, it can come off more like a police report than anything else. No, I like to combine physical characteristics and elements of nature, and I also like to use descriptive words that aren't necessarily uncommon, although in some cases they might be, but words that you don't hear in everyday speech. So, for example, I could say I could use the word beauteous instead of beautiful because you don't hear that word too much in everyday speech. Or I could use a word like radiant or resplendent or something to that effect. Words that have a certain ring to the ear, that have a certain flow and rhythm, that roll off the tongue, as it were. Words like that people will remember. I love using descriptive words in that way. Or in some cases, you could even make words up if you find that you can't find a word that fits exactly what you want. For example, I came up with the word beaudescent, which is basically a way of saying that something is beautiful while also shining bright. And again, these are unique words that will get the attention of the reader. And the second thing that you want to do is that, again, you want to combine physical characteristics with elements of nature. I'll give you an example from my book, Silent Reckoning. Her physiognomy encapsulated the radiance of youthful auroras, hold on, let me start again. Her physiognomy encapsulated the radiance of youthful auroras, the luminosity of midnight moons, and the resplendent fervor of sultry twilights. Now let me break that sentence apart, and I'll show you why I think it works well. Her physiognomy, her physical characteristics, encapsulated the radiance of youthful auroras. So I'm saying that it's like, a youthful morning, which is what aurora means, and then the luminosity of midnight moons. Therefore, she also resembles, the beauty, the elegance of the night, and the resplendent fervor of sultry twilight. So I'm saying that she also has the elegance and the exuberance of the afternoon. And so all of these, so when I combine all of these elements, you will get a clear and distinct picture of the kind of person this woman is. Now you must be, one thing must be perfectly clear. This description is it's third person limited, and it's being told through the perspective of Walter Peterson, who is a guy who is obsessed with the character of Jeannie Anderson. So this is how he sees her. He sees her as being like a youthful aurora, like a resplendent twilight. So you're really getting a picture of what he thinks. And I think if you combine elements of nature with physical characteristics, then that will ultimately create a far more potent and a far more vivid image in the reader's mind. And of course, that is one of just many examples that I could give you. And because I thought that sentence was very concise and precise, which is why I decided to use it. And so all of these elements will in the end, describe people well. Or, for example, you could compare, for example, human beings to other objects that are held in high esteem in society. For example, you could say that Sarah's eyes were like diaphanous sapphires, or something to that effect, because again, you are contrasting her eyes with something that is considered precious, that is considered desirable by human beings, and therefore by implication, you are stating that she herself is desirable, that Sarah is desirable. And so Cynical will ultimately capture the attention of readers by using things like, again, personification, by giving the sun and the moon human-like characteristics, and or also, well, for example, in one of my stories recently, I talk about how a character's golden hair gilds the sky into a budescent day, into a radiant day. Sentences like that will create a lot of visual power, and which is why I would highly advise using them. So these are just some techniques that you could use. Again, I could talk about this forever, but I just thought I would give you a summary of techniques that I believe you could use in your writing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to check out my links in the description section, and until next time, goodbye.